Weaponised Empath, the Narcissist Smile. I'm H.G. Tudor. I create these videos, and you ought to know this by now, as part of the creation of my legacy. I explain to you the way that I think and the way that my kind think, the way that I operate and the way that my kind operate, to enable you to understand. You don't have to like the way that we are, indeed many do not, and I understand that. But you need to understand why we function as the way that we do, why we target you, why we seduce you, why we devalue you, why we place you on the shelf, why we disengage from you, and why we hoover you thereafter. You need to understand the accurate information, because whilst there are some reasonable providers of information about narcissism, there are a lot who add nothing new, regurgitate that which is already out there, and more dangerously, leave out large parts of what you ought to know because they simply don't understand it, and even worse, propagate myths and misunderstandings about our kind, which lead you into dangerous situations. I'm creating a legacy, in the same way that somebody might invent a new motor vehicle, or create a brand of computer, or build a magnificent building, or set up a new political dynasty, and so on and so forth, the creation of art and literature which will live on. I, through the provision of this excellent, unrivaled, insightful information, are enabling you to understand all about narcissism. By allowing you to succeed, I create a win for you, which I, of course, then commandeer for myself, and it is part of my overarching win, the creation of a legacy and the ultimate nullification of the threat that's posed to my control by mortal death. As part of the creation of this legacy, I weaponize you. The weaponized empath is one which operates on logical thinking, having reduced the insidious emotional thinking to the lowest possible level through the application of the techniques which I provide to you. The weaponized empath is one which functions with logic, creating near inassailable defenses built upon a firm foundation of logic which repels the hoovers without you even knowing about it, that quashes the emotional thinking, driving it down to the lowest level. And if you want to understand the extent to which you've become weaponized through my work, utilize the Weaponized Empath Detector. You'll find it in the menu bar at narcsite.com in the Detector section. I weaponize you by allowing you to understand the way that we think, how to spot us, how to recognize the manipulations, to understand why we manipulate in the way that we do, so that you understand the various dynamics between us and you, why we behave in that manner, to enable you to unravel things which had mystified you, and of course to provide you with all of the techniques and practicalities to protect yourselves in a variety of different ensnarements and situations involving our kind. With all of that explained as to the weaponization of you, I'm going to explain to you today that how our smile, which in a previous video I have explained as a weapon that we can use, is actually something with the trained eye that can help you detect that you might be dealing with a narcissist. And I'd encourage you, before listening to this video, to listen to the other video, the companion piece, The Narcissist Weapon, the Smile. I've explained that the creation of our smile is a fabrication and artifice which is designed to gather the prime aims, chiefly fuel and control. Many of you don't realise that the smile is manufactured. There will, of course, be those of you that have gained more insight and knowledge and realise now that you saw that actually the smile didn't quite ring as true. And indeed, in some of the lower echelon narcissists, such as their lack of evolution, that their attempts at a smile are pretty ham-fisted and see-through. But many of our kind, it's not. And indeed, many of our kind create a passable, indeed convincing smile, which has you drawn in the way that we use it as a weapon, as I've explained in a previous video. With some of our kind, and notably the lower echelon, they end up with a rictus grin, fixed, rigid, almost plastic-looking, and that is a notable giveaway in terms of an indicator that it's certainly a false smile, and most likely that of a narcissist. You can't, of course, make it a determination from just one instance of seeing a person smile to think, aha, this person's a narcissist. You have to look at a range of behaviour over time. The presence of this rictus fixed grin is an indicator and is not determinative. But if you notice that grin happening again and again and again, fixed on that face, unwavering, staying for too long, possibly even being inappropriate to the circumstances, this raises the chances considerably that you're dealing with a narcissist, and therefore looking for that and recognising that is particularly important. And of course, you should also look out for the other indicators which I talk about in my books, Red Flag and Black Flag, and the material that I provide to you in those videos. And of course, you can always use the narc detector to get that final insight from me, the expert. That is the obvious rictus grin. Fixed, plastic, staying on the mouth, the lips of the narcissist for far too long. But there is another, a more subtle version, and this is the one that is used by your more upper echelon narcissist, more regularly seen with mid-range and greater and the ultra, which, with careful application, careful scrutiny, you will be able to detect it. We, of course, can mimic the smile very readily, and, of course, the narcissist does so with varying degrees of authenticity. I've explained in the companion video how I go about it. Ordinarily, nobody would know that my smile is a false one. Unless, of course, I want them to know that. And therefore, a lot of the time, there is a smile that adorns our face, which you think means that we're happy, content, approving, reassuring, etc. But there's one thing that we can't do. You see, when you smile, it comes from a place of emotion. And with that, although your mouth moves and you can make yourself smile, when it is a genuine smile, the muscles move either side of your eyes to create those laughing eyes, those sparkling eyes. You have no control over that. It just happens when you are genuinely moved to smile. When you experience happiness, when you experience joy and delight and ecstasy, perhaps even relief, your smile comes, and with it, the involuntary action of the muscles by the sides of your eyes, which confirm your smile is genuine. We can't replicate that. I cannot make my eyes smile because it does not come from a place of genuine emotional empathy. I can make my mouth fix in the right position, hold it for the appropriate time, and of course can do varying different smiles, broader smiles, shorter smiles, toothy smiles, and so forth. But what I cannot do, and nor can any narcissist, is conquer the involuntary action that is required to smile in the eyes, around the eyes, to make the eyes light up, to make the eyes dance, to make them fill with sparkling joy and glee. We cannot emulate that. And therefore, if you are able to observe closely and notice that the mouth moves but there is no corresponding response in the eyes, you may well be dealing with a narcissist. And again, repeated appearances of this failure become determinative. This is something that you ought to look for if you suspect that you're dealing with a narcissist. Watch how the narcissist smiles and watch carefully the reaction of the eyes. Do they light up? Are they sparkling? I'm not talking about the phenomenon of dead eyes. That's something different. I'm talking about what goes on besides the eyes to make them look that they're full of joy and laughter and light, etc. The fact that our eyes don't move at the side because of the impact in that regard. Now, having said all of that, you need to be able to look for it. And where you don't see the presence of that involuntary movement, you should be alerted that you may well be dealing with a narcissist. The other factor for you to consider is this as well. Notice those individuals who spend a lot of time wearing sunglasses, particularly where they wear them indoors. And no doubt you can immediately think of certain famous examples of individuals who are well known for always wearing sunglasses. And now think about this. Why do you think they were wearing them? What do you think they were trying to keep hidden? You may well have thought, oh, it's just an affectation. You may well have thought, oh, they just want to look cool, trendy, of the moment. It's a talking piece. It's a signature aspect of their appearance. Think again. Somebody had something to hide. Think about the individuals that you know, famous and more personal to you, that have a habit of wearing those shades, those sunglasses, often and repeatedly, especially in somewhat incongruous circumstances, for instance, cloudy days or indoors. And this will give you a further clue. Utilize this information to continue your weaponization. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.